the modern environment, it appears that Christmas has plenty of competition attached to it, rather than the festive spirit which it is meant to promote. There is a commercialization of the Christmas celebration, as bigger trees, brighter lights, and inflatable Santas ring in competition. It is fair to say that there exists a culture which celebrates Christmas in the most simplistic of manners and having great meaning. And this is something that they have been practicing for centuries. Have you ever found it odd that an Amish family only starts celebrating Christmas after the holidays have been over for the rest of the world? Well, there is a simple reason for why this is the case, and the answer lies in the history behind the calendar that they use today. We can say that it is quite interesting how Amish communities get a celebratory time in the same month with a different mode as they divide their celebration into parts. Now, picture two communities that are hardly miles away from each other but have different cultures when it comes to practicing Christmas. There are people who go to church on the 25th of December and people who don't celebrate until the 6th of January. Other groups of Amish, like Old Order Amish or some Schwarzentruber Amish, celebrate the Old Christmas on January 6th. They switched to the Gregorian calendar as others did, but they thought the calendar was wrong. Every community I am aware of that leans towards the January 6th date. This is because January 6th is on the calendar by the Orthodox churches. Sees this as the actual date for the birth of Jesus, the Christ. To tell you the truth, a slight friendly competition exists here. They sometimes gently term to refer to December 25th as Christmas in the world, stating, "Nice try, but we will observe the actual date, thank you very much." While some groups, such as the New Order Amish, maintain the celebration on the 25th of December, date the Old Order Amish stick to is the 6th of January, which further evidence suggests is the only true date for the birth of Jesus. These more forward-looking groups find it rational to comply with the calendar used in modern society, albeit it may take a while for them to head out for peak hour shopping just before Christmas Eve. The Christmas Day, however, has one big catch: no clues of Santa Claus. They are completely focused on the Christ child, and the act of Christmas is deeply embedded in their religious devotion. It seems that Christmas for these groups does bear some resemblance to that for the pagans, but only in the ritual of celebrating it on either the 25th of December or the 6th of January. Clearly, to an outsider taking turns opening presents under the tree, Amish Christmas customs must seem bizarre. Decorated Christmas trees and their attachments do not form part of their Christmas celebration. In other words, they don't associate the birth of Christ with jingle bells or growing trees. The Amish are known to have different viewpoints and practices as far as work is concerned. Although they might have a day off for religious purposes, it's not like they go on an extended vacation. Most of the time, they resume their normal activities almost immediately thereafter. If anything, it starkly contrasts with the common trend of people going on holidays for weeks around the festive season. One fact about them that may surprise you is the fact that even the most orthodox of the Amish people sanctify 2 Christmases in respect to their faith, assist in this holy tradition. Most of them do tend to celebrate one of them entirely, or in their own ways, both of them. It is like observing the day of the Nativity on the 25th and marking the occasion on the 6th scale as well, instead of making the January 6th solely the focal point. In essence, this fragmentation epitomizes how the Amish people have been committed to their faith. While the traditionalist factions do view January the 6th as a symbolic apolitical date to still foster accurate interpretation of reality, the more orthodox ones understand the transition to December the 25th to be of an economic significance and test the preservation of their faith and morals. C. No matter the time of the year, it is evident that the Amish does not have Christmas trees, ornaments, and any other kind of decoration. Their expectation of that day is solely religious in nature. This principle of their policy that more is less appears to be the most appropriate way of celebrating Christmas, one of the holiest days on the Christian calendar, not only for them. Now, when it comes to giving gifts, the Amish have a completely different perspective. While many of us are swiping away using countless credit cards while having no choice but to enduring busy shopping malls, on the other end of the spectrum, Amish gift giving is only about creating something out of their own hands. and that is to make sense out of it themselves. Don't even mention the hottest electronics or a stylish wardrobe. For a non-Amish person, if gift-giving was an art form, it would be expressed through a construction of tangible gifts, infused with a generous amount of time and care. Imagine getting a handmade quilt for a special occasion. This is one such quilt which imbibes each of its designs intricately as they recount stories in their own ways. Or rather, envision a sturdy handcrafted rocking chair made of the best oak wood that can last even for centuries, instead of the poorly designed ones that we buy and can barely put together ourselves. An Amish child will most likely be gifted a block figure carved out of wood from his father, or knitted mittens from his mother on one of those freezing autumn nights. They are rather quite considerate and practical, simply things that people require. An Amish household will not contain kitschy items such as humorous neckties or scented candles that are hidden under the dust. On the contrary, items like home-canned vegetables collected from last year's harvest or hand-forged metal tools designed for someone who has begun establishing his own workshop will be there as gifts. The type of gift-giving places doubt in your mind whether there is any sense in having a dancing Santa who is battery-operated. Things then become even more interesting, as within the Amish community itself, there exists a variation on what they consider to be Christmas gift-giving. The New Order Amish, who tend to be somewhat more liberal, would at a bit interchange give handmade jams, clothes, or even salad dressing. Whereas those who adhere to a more orthodox Amish way of life do not diversify, at least in their gifting, and give only customized religious items that are functional. This means things like beautifully leather-bound Bibles or hand-copied books of prayers, which are probably the greatest treasures most of them possess. This is not the case with the Amish Christmas cards when Christmas approaches. So maybe you can understand why many people just buy cards from the shop at the last minute and hastily sign notes on them. As a rule, it contained quotes from the Bible or Christmas-related topics in the form of the Alaskan kids' artistically made individual cards for Christmas. Some families even make a fun event out of this, making their own cards together as a family. And for the Amish, their cards are not the sparkly ones covered in glitter, but feature a simple design of one star, angel, or nothing at all. In terms of providing gifts, the Amish people are particularly courteous, as this is the opposite of the craziness we all undergo during holidays. No Black Friday rushes, no crazy online shopping, and no one asks for gift receipts. You know without a doubt that your gift would mean the world to the recipient once you create it over several months, because it is deeply personal. Try explaining shopping during holidays in the present day today to an Amish person, though. Yes, at times we do wait in a queue outside the mall at midnight to buy the stuff we do not even need, and on occasions do not even have the money for just to show off to people who might not even be our friends. You can almost hear them sigh and smilingly utter, "So simple, why make it complex?" filled with the knowledge of the answer to their question. To Amish people, it is the effort and consideration that makes Christmas so special. It is how many hours of work and affection that went into the making of the present that matters the most. From the moment you start to think that it is a holiday season, that simply means in turn being competitive over what gifts were given the previous year or accumulating credit card bills is no more. Rather, it is about the finest expressions of craftsmanship done out of love and gratitude. Any present you gift can be made from scratch by someone do not come with a warranty, but rather come with something of much greater worth: the love, passion, and talent of its maker. Seeing the kids opening presents on the Christmas day makes you feel as though you stepped into a completely different world. There's no explosion of torn wrapping paper, no need for batteries, and definitely no more fake enthusiasm for yet another fruitcake. Instead, a nice and useful item is handed over and received gratefully. There may be a grain of truth in the way the Amish say, less is more, albeit it will be hard for the present-day children to abandon their video games and adopt carved wooden toys. Do you want to abandon the custom of sending fantastic Christmas cards through WhatsApp and video call your relatives you have not seen for years? The traditions of Christmas, the Amish says, aim at human interaction, at what social media does in fact distort. They have done it in a different way where the phrase quality over quantity becomes utterly applicable, Their way of celebrating holidays is in very different aspect. For the Amish, the radix of Christmas, whether it is the 25th of December or 6th of January, goes far beyond the family. They connect for the community, a celebration of solidarity that makes family get-togethers look small-scale. All the 8 of those relatives gathered were grandmothers, uncles, aunts, cousins, and even some relatives whose degree of relationship is not so clear. The journey to these gatherings is also part of the fun and thrill. While most of us deal with the congested highways or long waits at the airports, the Amish use horse and buggy to get there. Picture the melodious sound of hooves on snowy, stony pathways, breathing the undiluted winter air, and hyphens a few pecks of snowflakes kissing the ground of the countryside. It is like going back to a classic piece of a Christmas postcard, but without the branding. Yes, it takes longer than jumping into the car, but that's the beauty of the slower pace. After all, it isn't easy to create a real bond with someone. So this is where the Amish really do stand out. Apart from their families, Christmas, though, is also celebrated at the church, with the rest of the church community. Such congregations are more than what many of us would call neighborhood get-togethers. Extended church services become major events during which families worship, chat, catch up, lend a hand, connect, and even throw in some mild gossip for good measure. Not to be too candid, the Amish too enjoy a good tale, and they have some good ones related to Christmas. The aspect which stands out the most is the amount of effort they put into ensuring that no one is alone during the holiday period. The onslaught of celebrations during this time eats up subservience for a lot of us, but not for the Amish, as they actively seek to reach out to those who might feel alone otherwise. It won't be an exaggeration to say that even if the communities were to perish, every sick, elderly, or child would specially be taken care of. This is not just about pet delivery. It's about people delivering themselves and their time to form an attachment and offer some support. While most of us may feel that horse and buggy lifestyle is more of a hindrance, for Amish it serves a higher purpose. The small radius of their travel ensures that it is only those Amishes who are able to participate in the celebration, making it even more special. Wouldn't it be cool to know that on every single holiday, your entire community is in buggy distance? It's this charm of Amish life that can't be said with words or text. Once again, the people gathered at the Amish site do not use video calls to communicate, which hasn't been the case on Christmas, as the church holds Christmas specials for everyone. But after such services, the Christmas special does not end, as there are so many Christmas family gatherings, children's manners, and Amish mothers' dishes all serve to enhance the experience. Freely embracing families would then virtually ensure a free society. This consciousness of social perspective would allow Amish families to work together fluently, as commissioning non-working days becomes associated with constructors raising barns. Instead of braving the chaos of crowded stores, they join forces for barn raisings, quilting bees, and baking marathons. These are more than everyday tasks. These are moments where people get to connect and spend some time together. Here's a point that would probably amuse you. Try to picture organizing all of this without the use of phones, emails, or even social media. There are no last-minute texts concerning delays or running late, nor are there any Facebook posts concerning canceled plans. When Amish families decide to meet, they will meet. Such dependability feels almost like a privilege in the present-day world. What is even more astounding is that their festivities surpass many days aside from Christmas. While most people begin packing Christmas decorations when the season's over, the Amish keep their movements going through the winter months. Focusing on people instead of gifts relieves a lot of the pressure on holidays ending, so togetherness doesn't have to be restricted to a specific time. It makes us ponder whether in the current era, where every single individual is always in a hurry to grow, improve, and accomplish more, something has been lost along the way. With all the painstaking attention to detail applied to posting holiday images, it is a shocker how much the Amish actually live every single moment, be it buggy rides or conversations. Now, if you find it hard to come up with the ultimate Christmas outfit, the Amish backdrop may feel like a great relief. As a way of distinguishing themselves from the rest of the world, Amish families have retained a tradition that governs their way of how they dress. Even as in other cultures, You could find members that would go out of touch with the unwritten rules of their society. Looking into how some members in some families prepare for Christmas brings about the realization that dressing code either on Christmas Day or in the Christmas month is something to look forward to. To start with, the men's dressing is filled with elegantly crafted black suits, white shoes, hats, and gloves. Along with the decks of dressing, the women along piously dressed praise for the captivation of each individual that formed a family. The women's attempts at dressing up reflect devotion. They seem taut bonnets and prayer caps starched in meticulous care, highlighting how every single detail is paid attention to. What might come as a shock to quite a few people is the fact that blue is an accepted color among other communities, apart from the usual black that is expected. In some places, it has become less of a necessity and more of a preference. Amish children's Christmas attires are nothing short of mesmerizing. If the young boys are seen in slightly more miniature suits than their fathers, the little girls too, sport dresses with tiny aprons and bonnets. It is deserving of mention that in this case, many theories regarding Christmas dressing etiquette are put to rest because fancying up does not appear to disturb the youthful grace and poise exuded by the children. Where many children of the modern age can't seem to wait to transition from formal wear to comfortable pajamas, these children carry themselves differently. They appear to be a part of an era far older and more sophisticated. While these attires appear to be outwardly ostentatious, the reason behind such embellishments becomes apparent once one considers the values as well as the occasion where such attire will be worn. After all, they do not dress intending to be vain, but in order to honor and respect the importance of the occasion. Also interesting is how the Amish are able to take Christmas dressing and elaborately massaged it while still maintaining their natural modesty. This jarring discordance is only amplified when one learns that the preparation for the Christmas attire season is ensured to begin well in time, and the entire process is organic. Each inch this attire covers, the body is bound to be one which has been carefully pressed and regularly mended. Every detail is noted, from sewing down the buttons, verifying the hems, to flexibility as a whole. What this community is about is simplicity, as there is no glitter, no sequins, and certainly no festive red and green ties. September 28, 2018. Their attention is shifted on the communion and on the garment instead of shiny sparkles. An ordinary outfit, or a bonnet for this community, is itself an accessory, which speaks a lot about their reverence for elegance. An engagement whereby people dress for a matter of service for God needs to be seen as a ritualistic event. It has its own form of importance. To children, it seems like a big event where the whole family wakes up all bruised, tattered, and exhausted. As an example, they help with buttons and ties, or others with shoes. The entire dress code is transformed into an amicable, solemn dance, where calm is the mantra, rather than the mad-plagued rush that many endure. What remains the most striking part about their attire is to mix the two extremes, Christmas and the rest of the year. They say that trends are but circle, and for the Amish pioneers, so it is, the only chosen explanation being the starched and polished ones above all polished ones worn throughout the year with one exception, the Christmases. It's a very gentle reminder that even if it's an ordinary moment, such an approach feels intentional and gives it a sense of meaning. And let's also add the most fun part. There's sometimes a twinkle of mischief or fun in their eyes, even though it might not look that way on the outside. Perhaps it is the comfort of not having to contemplate if a sopping pair of light-up reindeer earrings is acceptable for the holiday dinner table. Now, when we talk about comfort food, Amish Christmas dinners are the yardsticks. While most of us try to keep pace with online recipe-wise and wherefores or try to interpret Grandma's add flour till it feels right. Meme, Amish folks follow recipes that have been followed for centuries. The way families set up their holiday spread can quite easily leave a seasoned food critic utterly speechless. In most American homes, you always find roast chicken at the center of the feast. Now, this is not your run-of-the-mill roast chicken. This is chicken that was roaming in the farm's courtyard in the morning, seasoned with homegrown herbs, and roasting it makes it truly golden. The food that makes it to Instagram pales in comparison to that. And the mashed potatoes? They melt in the mouth like buttery clouds made out of freshly dug potatoes, unlike dried instant flakes you stock in your pantry. Back to the dessert table, there has to be the famous shoe fly pie, which many consider as one of the best creations of Pennsylvania Dutch. A combination of molasses, brown sugar, and a crumb topping that falls between a cake and a pie, all in one plate. If there is only one slice left and both you and a bitter rival want it, it is a given that someone will end up quarreling. Let's start with ham. Ham served on the table isn't just the one available in the supermarkets packaged with glazed mixture. Rather, it is a hilt that is farm-bred, carefully smoked, and then cured through methods that are passed from the forefathers to the present day. Although many opted to take the easy route, pies have always been assumed to be difficult and uncompromisable when passed down generations. Guess who else took that route? Their forefathers. And why wouldn't they? The carrots and other assorted vegetables most probably grew in the family garden and were exclusively meant for the family. Now let's move on to the bread, which can safely be put in the same category as the destroyers in the world of sandwiches. Now put yourself in the 1830s, where Amish Christmas meals were adored. Why? Mainly due to the sense of community they tried to encapsulate in each meal. Women, as seen in the Miller household, would even step up to add their signature dish of pies, while taking a gander on the Yoder family's green beans. In addition, many recipes were so cherished by the Amish families that they revolved around secrecy. Even sharing methods outside of the household was frowned upon, quite contradicting to their values of the Amish culture. While such recipes cut across many generations and are revered to such a level that it borders the line of sacrilege, it is quite common for Christmas celebrations to be facilitated with weeks of prior preparation. Peanut butter bars, plantain chips, and beef buns, for instance, require extensive elbow grease and can make for delightful additions to the menu. Working together as a family, absolute bliss. Whereas, men and boys work more on the main course of the meal. Chicken curry, for example, can be slightly more challenging to prepare for some individuals, which could warrant assistance. Regardless, everyone has a role to fill, and Amish farms have been known to have their recipes firmed around tradition. What makes their recipes unique is the use of only organic ingredients. Alongside multiple pans, ample butter is used as they remain strict on the use of farm-raised animals. Adding to the chicken used from local cattle to butter get from the other products. The local eggs and milk only add to the refreshingly native flavor. Their entire concept operates on the farm-to-table ideology. The Christmas meal is quite an extravagant feast. People do appropriate prayers beforehand in order to give thanks for all the food before demolishing it all. In fact, Thanksgiving and Christmas are quite often mistaken for one another. However, a limited number of people are able to enjoy that experience all over again. The absence of a smartphone ding or a television hum explains why an Amish family's household is often one filled with rich and hearty warmth. With plates at the dining table asking to be handed the potatoes, you know that this is one episode or scene that has not been interrupted by technology. It is important to note that why go sovny and ask for it when you can just look in the refrigerator, because even the leftovers are smart, because they can serve a purpose. As friendly meals might be, they work as a reminder to crowed compassion that at times, food should be cherished and always respected. How entertaining is winter holidays free from phones and gaming consoles? Who knows? The children who live in the Amish world, especially during Christmas holidays. Christmas holidays are filled with all new exciting time for that very same reason. There is no reason to complain about not having the fancy toys to play with because the holidays themselves are the utmost fun. All the time without these toys seems endless. Yet it does not mean that these children go around watching printed pictures of families making love on screen for several hours. Holidays for these wonderful children mean spending days with family, doing traditions and enjoying with the society, along with doing chores like milk the cow. Because why not? Holidays might be here, but we all know the cows will be there too. These children have no lack of joy. On the contrary, they enjoy simple, meaningful activities, which several parents from the modern society wish to be able to give their children. The more resources any parent holds on to, however, they remain to be the same toys, tiny, intricate outfits, a doll handcrafted by their mother, or the strolling, roaring cars of a wooden toy train made by their father, hand-making the pair of toys gifts. Children just expect a few such gifts, especially on Christmas morning when there is no wrapping around such gifts, and the twinkling star instead has the parents. Christmas does not always have Christmas tree, but rather offerings tailored to the specifics of each recipient and have been thoroughly researched and chosen. Self-reliant and sustainable, these toys can be passed down for generations without being broken or without losing essential components. There are also children in similar situations. However, no concert awaits them, whether it is about baby it's cold outside or Santa Claus is coming to town. Christmas hymns and devotional stories that encompass the celebrations are taught at Starrett's in one of the Sunday schools. Those same children's ancestors used to dedicate the Sunday school to prayers, and now after the ending of these prayers, begin class singing those same prayers. For the life of me, is there more heartwarming than that? It was an expectation back at the time, but came in reality every year around this time. Christmas. Instead of sitting in teddies blindfolded over screens alongside their peers, they busied themselves with Christmas-focused preparations, which were fun and exciting. Being able to help prepare food and make something for their brothers and sisters and cousins makes them learn skills which they can use for life. For example, a young girl can sew her first quilt square, while a boy might be in his father's workshop learning to make something. Some of the activities they participate in during their holiday season are unique and full of creativity. Rather than writing to Santa, they might participate in writing Christmas cards for friends and other family members. The Amish children join their siblings or help to deliver homemade gifts to their neighbors by a horse and buggy. Instead of engaging in social network, the kids still interact during storytelling, play with families, or join their friends to play age-old games. A few examples include using manually made sleds to coasts down snowy mountains, or sitting in the family reunion round table telling stories. What is certain is that these all create a positive subsequent memory. However, the most touching factor is that these children learn value of giving. Because of this, they understand the effort that has to be made when gifting. For example, young children spend hours carving wooden boxes and sewing clothes. These are works of art made along with a lot of thought, effort, and love. The Amish children consider holidays as an opportunity to help their communities. They may accompany their employees while visiting sick neighbors, helping the elderly, or even doing chores. It enables them to understand and appreciate the true meaning of the holidays, which is to give and not to receive. The article's understandable as such is the integration of the holy. Having children spend their holidays this way means that Christmas will be more in the essence of cohesion and sense of purpose than in the use of gadgets. It is certainly worth trying their perspective to find faucets of appreciation in simpler holidays. And it is quite powerful, so make sure you're ready for the shock when they tell you how Amish carols are sung. Forget the synthesized samples, the lyrics, and even Santa. With all the frills and adornments of the modern world removed, it is nothing more than pitch-perfect melodies woven together. The result of caroling with such Amish families alone can level a renowned choir. It is certainly much deeper than an average choir singing jingle bells. Instead, it is majestic and defies the earthly understanding of the universe fused into one single moment. Church groups, other families, and boys, when it is freezing, step out for some fresh air. They climb aboard their buggies and set off into the night, which is chilly. However, the Amish Christmas carolers do sing songs. These Amish songs are full of deep meaning along with high reverence and more tragically done Christmas songs, such as Deck the Halls. What is to be noted is how serious the Amish are about these caroling outings. This is something shocking to most of us as we head out on a sing-along. These sessions start with buggies where levers are never pulled out. Most of us head out unprepared. These families, however, devote their every year to practicing their way to goodness. During the international expeditions, the parishioners and the bookkeepers sing songs to create a baseline for the audience to feel the energy. Even children have the songs embedded in their brains. As they listen to the songs through their parents, a majority of children begin to pick up these songs from an early age. By a young age, most children are able to hum multiple songs. By the time they are teens, which is around 11 to 14-year-old children, have started to use headsets to listen to these carols and altar songs. The best part is that these tunes are sung in harmony. They also make incredible tunes without instruments, which is quite astonishing. Without the use of anything including rhythm or volume, they sing. In fact, the only thing these people had to use was their voice. If you thought that was impressive, we haven't used a pitch pipe, a piano, or even a guitar. All we have is a track to help us get started. Silently, a professional singer strikes a note, allowing the group to blend in and sing beautifully. It's quite a spectacle indeed. And what's more heartening is, it all unfolds outside the home of a neighbor, in the snow. This is also the pretty caroling that you would want to see in the videos. Imagine waiting for a group of Amish families in the buggy and then spotting them exhaling clouds of vapor in the cold air. They form a semicircle outside a house, and without even an introductory nudge, they begin to chant. There are no breaks in the overlaid singing as they all join in. The construction has been the same for centuries, so it was expectable. It sounds as if the voice has the power to rub against the sky. But as you must have imagined, they don't go around singing only to let everyone feel good. It's more than that. There is more to it than just connecting with people and providing solace to someone who requires assistance. The elderly, the sick, or a family that has just suffered a loss almost always are at the top of the list. So imagine being all alone inside the four walls of your house on a cold winter evening, and suddenly you hear the sound of a cross choir coming from the outside. This is the exact purpose why homes are constructed the way they are constructed. The community is aware of those who deserve this harmonious piece of work the most. It's nothing uncommon for a woman in a lonely countryside looking after farms to have carolers coming down her door, or for a family passing through difficult times to have songs sung to them in hopes of alleviating their suffering. Every stop is a deliberate, loving gesture infused with the reassurance of songs they know by heart. What is more fascinating about this practice is that it is universal. Each and everyone joins in. The deep voice of grandfathers, the high voice of young girls, that sweet sound of little children singing even though they are out of tune. There will surely be no shortage of singers. There is no need for auditions or bonds. The goal is merely to be a part of something bigger. And yet, considering how no one cares about being polished or perfect, the end product is rather good. A father would not sing lullabies regularly in hopes of winning a talent contest. Rather, he crows Christ's nativity cliches, from the search for a birthplace to the legions of frightened shepherds and the divine calling of the child. These lyrics are more like sermons compressed into operatic tunes, and the thousands of years-old history aside, they are both knee-deep in narrative wonder. When the sun begins to set, the carolers start their house visits. The stillness at night and the sound of the wind dancing across the fresh white blanket muffles hundreds of chimed voices. It can feel overwhelming since there are no speakers blasting sound. Each voice can be heard remarkably clearly and stands out. In the modern times where it feels like faith and joy has been drowned out by distractions, this masterpiece of raw sound feels refreshing. All the Amish love and respect the Christmas traditions differently than the other Christian communities located all around the world. While most American Christian churches accommodate their congregations with Christmas carols and lit candles, the Amaya perspective is different. Christmas for the Amish is all about devotion. Christmas services for the Amishes start before the break of dawn, as the families should even wake up in the dark to make necessary preparations. There is no fighting through traffic or having to change shoes at the last moment. There are no frustrations. Everyone considers this day a special and ready to appreciate it. For an example, an average Amish service can go up to 3 hours or more with the average congregant not even wanting to glance at the clock. In fact, most don't wear watches. The lectionary Gospels, including Matthew 2, Luke 2, and John 1, are solemnly practiced by all. Normal Sunday services are often quiet, but expect an entirely new level of noise for the Christmas services and expect everyone to enjoy it too. No spread-it-out benches are present, no much swank, only the people gathered in simple worship of the season as it is. At the end of the service, participants leave with a feeling of togetherness that extends long after Christmas. Singing Christmas carols or attending church service, it is about giving and receiving love in every way during the Amish Christmas. Their worship also reminds us that handmade UN showy traditions can be the best of the best. All traditions and loving affection of the people around crafted only to emphasize the important things in life. She stayed. These Christmas hymns are tattooed into the brains of Amish children as soon as the child learns how to make a single sound. The boys sound, with no instruments, clearly audible as they sing together, which has been the case for centuries. No organ, no piano, just voices of human beings forming harmonies that have existed for the last centuries. Their songs would do a Christmas special at the depth of storytelling, and in comparison, make even such a Christmas favorite as Silent Night to be treated like a publicity song. A very interesting phenomenon of these pending church marathons is what happens with children there. While the average non-Amish child would get fidgety and uncomfortable with the length and favor of it, an average Amish child perceives the church service with entirely grown-up level of maturity. As you might expect, the sermons offered during these services tend to be rather unique. The ministers thoroughly engage with the Christmas story and add the eye to the detail which is missing most times. They discuss the importance of the stall, the shepherds and their significance, and the most inspiring of all, the incarnation of God. Coming from the Pennsylvania Dutch tradition, these sermons should practically be described as an art of biblical exegesis, whereby the church members are all ears to every single word uttered during the service. The arrangement of the seats in these particular services is also informative. Men and boys sit on one side, and women and girls on the other, with the most senior and revered members of the society seated in the first few rows. The order in which people take seats is a reflection of the community and its order. It provides a living picture of how the community, in all its diversity, comes together to worship. The dress code for Christmas services is raised in terms of sophistication. Of course, throughout the year, the Amish dress in a plain, simple manner, but for Christmas, they put forward their best. Men are seen in well-tailored and ironed suits. Ladies are in the most stylish dresses they can find, and also, everyone's shoes are polished to point where it can impress many. It aims at providing respect to the day without displaying the pride of oneself. What set these services apart were not in their duration or importance, but in what Christmas was meant to be. There is no anxiety to finish the praise, no rowdy side conversations about shopping or mobile phones ringing. Rather, the liturgy creates an atmosphere that is essential for religious observance, one that shields the events of the day from the modern world. There is a duality within all Amish services. Once the service comes to an end, the families feel as if they've done something of great significance. It's not just performing the duty of love for God, but instead fulfilling their own vision of how Christmas should be celebrated by devotees, through prayer and being together as a society, as well as limiting activity on that significant day. For quite a big number of people, days after Christmas are the ones meant for taking decorations off and overcoming Christmas stress. During this time, however, the Christmas spirit is far from faded in the Amish community. December 26th, which for Old Order Amish is January 7th, is not a date just to light the candles and make a beeline for the sales. Instead, it serves as a start to normalcy. It is a continuation of the Christmas episode, with the next 12 focusing on festivities plus the New Year. Many people rush to get every last errand done in preparation for Christmas. The Amish, on the other hand, do the opposite. They take their time and enjoy every moment in a manner that is beautiful. They seem to have cracked the code on how to appreciate this time of the year by grasping the concept of enjoying the festive period over time. Along with the main holiday, the Amish carry on with their lives with family functions, community events, and charity work afterwards. In contrast to those who get too exhausted from the planning and shopping that they hardly enjoy Christmas, the Amish get ready for January with energy and a clear head. Their gatherings are simple yet fun. The painting of a dining table overfilled with food and decorations are nowhere near their head. Rather, enjoying the simple company of each other is their priority. This time of the year is also marked by their unending loyalty towards giving back. While many are setting, and often forgetting, New Year's resolutions, Amish communities are actively helping their neighbors. Be it farming, bringing hot food, or visiting the old-aged, people's kindness goes beyond December. The joy of Christmas doesn't end for the Amish. Instead, they celebrate it over a period of time, avoiding that depressing period everyone goes through after Christmas. They have managed to find a way to keep the spirit of joy alive by concentrating on strong bonds and the service that gives meaning to their lives, as well as the lives of those around them. For them, Christmas is neither a specific day nor a period. It is a culture shaped by faith, selflessness, and belonging. The harsh winter is when the Amish try to take care of the people around them by looking out for them, such as checking on old people in their neighborhood, taking food to those who might need it, and providing firewood to those who might lack it. Their courageous acts appear never through a pompous gesture devoid of tooting one's horn or posting on social media, but by living their faith. One of the most touching features of the Christmas traditions during the longest winter days drawing out to space is how they blend in the New Year celebrations. It's a steady process where the key values and objective of the festive season are passed on to the routine without a sudden removal. Other than working, the delights and treasured memories of the season that once was lives on as it gets refreshed through love and care that is extended. Christmas gifts, for instance, gifts they have exchanged within the Amish families do not lead to the conventional after-holiday bust, where consumers seek to make endless exchanges or return their items. Forcefully generated chaos has taken over the world today. No one has time to think down to what each of their actions would result in. Everything is done so thoughtlessly that even the poorer sections of society take part in this rampage of destruction. In this modern world, humanity is a lost cause, and even the Amish are forced to come up with alternatives in order to survive. Instead of roaming around aimlessly, they've formed communities and built farms that boast a stable ecosystem. Farming is now controlled and regulated. There's no longer a need to worry about the destructive tendencies of snowstorms or acid rain. The human race has harnessed the complexities of technology over the years. The world is now theirs to control. Nothing bothers or intimidates them anymore. Who's to say what they do with the planet? In fact, they don't even bat an eye when they're put through the hardships of life. Talking about the Amish, they've turned their focus towards building a community instead of countries. "Why take long breaks when there's so much to work on?" they quote. Work and vacation time isn't something they plan around. It's an afterthought due to their perfectionist nature. As cliché as it sounds, having a daughter with a calm mind, quote-unquote, but each to their own. In my opinion, it's all straightforward, albeit a bit dull. I don't think they're effortless eventually, but seeing how they function without apprehension feels surreal. Who knows? They may have found the ultimate truth. True joy springs from never-ending joy and togetherness, and not one single day of over-the-top affray. So, as you go Christmas shopping and your business is resuming after New Year. The Amish spirituality has a pretty valid point when they say, "It's galls how our understanding of Christmas has not evolved." The last Christmas, this is a question one should ask themselves. What do they remember? The chaos of my people, the shopping, the oversharing, and the wave of hyperactivity, it less inspires and more exhausts the season. With the Amish looks out, there's a wiseness that has been lost over time. To begin with, consider the ornaments. While the rest of us have a garage filled with tangled extensions, artificial with paraphernalia that can supply a retail website, the Amish warmly celebrate togetherness without a single piece of tinsel. Oh, and the best part? Their children are not deprived. It's just that they are taught that joyous is not decorated by colors or LED lights. Their perspective on gifting is thought-provoking too. Instead of buying junk we can't afford on credit, the people from the Amish community create sentimental gifts. Now, picture opening a present that the giver painstakingly spent months crafting for you, like a timeless carved wooden toy, instead of another gadget that will be thrown into the back of a closet come January. That is the sense of community that the Amish have during the holidays, and it is a lesson to us all. While many families face the struggle of having one meal at the table with all members present and none idly scrolling on their phones, the Amish people rather spend weeks on end visiting one another over their meal tables and talking. Their connection is pure and human without the use of any modern technologies, no distractions whatsoever. Amish people provide yet another lesson when it comes to children. Their children never have to worry about outdoing the previous year's big gift or about what other kids are getting because they are taught how to enjoy making gifts for people and understand that happiness doesn't have to be bought. They grow up using their creativity and their imaginations, especially when trendy toys and video games are not at the core of their religion. Their approach to meals during the holidays is as unique as well. There is no mad rush to the store only to realize that you forgot some ingredients that are key to your meal, nor do they stress over difficult recipes. Amish Christmas meals are not only home-cooked, but very easy and simple, centered around appreciation of the food that has been prepared with love and care.